Friends, we continue this theme from last week into this week, this theme of healing. We see Jesus as this healer, and what we see in this gospel today is so powerful. It's so powerful. So again, just as a refresher, I know we just heard it, but sometimes when we hear things, it goes in one ear and out the other. What Mark the evangelist is telling us is that Jesus has been healing people in such a way that he's so radically transforming their lives that people who were living without hope, people who were living without any way forward, people who were living in constant pain or desperation, suddenly found themselves healed. Right? Like in the ancient world, there were no hospitals. There was no medicine. There was if you were in pain, guess what? You were going to be in pain for the rest of your life. If you were sick, you were probably going to die. If you were blind, you weren't going to regain your sight. If you couldn't hear, you were never going to hear again. If you walked with a limp, your leg was never going to get better. There was no hope for these things. And suddenly this man comes into your world, this man who is preaching these things and teaching these things, and all of a sudden, just by him simply touching you, like it's all gone. Your blindness is gone. You can walk, you can hear, you can see, you can smell, you can your whole world is absolutely changed and transformed in an instant because of this man. Now you have to imagine that in the ancient world, that as this news is spreading, people are suddenly finding themselves like hope for the first time. Maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way that I won't be in this pain. Maybe there's a way that I might be healed. And so what we hear in this gospel is that everyone, everywhere, is cramming in to see Jesus. They're all trying to just touch him because power goes out of his body. They're trying to touch him. You have to picture this massive, massive crowd of people all trying to get to one person. It's such mayhem that we hear in the gospel that Jesus tells his disciples, I want you to get a boat ready just in case we have to go to the shore, and I get on the boat so that I can preach from the shore. Because he was afraid that people would crush him. Imagine, it's hard for us to imagine this. Like, I was praying about this morning. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation in my life where I have been, like, that desperate. Like, that desperate for healing or that desperate to get somewhere. Like, imagine these people being so desperate to get to him that, like, there's the fear that he might be crushed. Desperate. They recognize their need for him. Friends, I bring this up because here we are at Mass, right? It's a Thursday morning, the year 2023. We've been coming to school Mass every single week. For some of us, for many, many years. Teachers, many of us have been coming to school Mass for many, many, many years. But are we coming because we're desperate? Or are we just coming because this is what we do? Every Thursday we get up, we come here, 9:30 Mass, school Mass, here we go, sit down, go through the things. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Lord be with you. Are we doing it because this is what we always do? Or are we doing this because we recognize in ourselves, like, I need Jesus? And look, maybe, like, good chance is, for most of us, we're not there yet, and that's okay. Like, I know people who've gone to Mass with sickness, with disease, who are desperate for healing. Like the people in the gospel, desperate for healing. I was talking to someone last night who brought a friend to her church for Mass, someone who had not been to Mass in many, 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 many years. This woman who had chronic pain, who had to walk with crutches. She couldn't walk more than 10, 12 feet at a time without pausing. They finally got this woman to Mass because there was nothing else. The doctors can't figure out what's going on with her. Hopeless, desperate. She came forward, she received communion, and like she noticed that she had no problem walking from here all the way back to where she was seated. And then she noticed that she had no problem walking from the church all the way out to her car. And then that night she asked her husband, can we go for a walk in the neighborhood? Can we go for a walk in the neighborhood? Honey, we have not walked in years. I know, I think I can do this. Without crutches, she walked 3 miles around their neighborhood because Jesus healed her. She was desperate. And he healed her because he still does that. Like, he still does these kinds of things. Here's my question. Like, okay, so maybe we don't come here with crutches, or maybe none of us really have major diseases that we're asking Jesus to heal, or maybe we don't even have big things that we're asking him to meet our needs, but like, what is our need? Like, why do we need Jesus? That might seem like a weird question to ask, but why do you, Sacred Heart student, why do you need Jesus? You don't need Jesus because, like, you need someone to tell you you've been bad. You don't need Jesus because you need someone to tell you, like, right from wrong. The reason why we need Jesus, like why we come here week after week, day after day, is because I need to hear him tell me again how much he loves me. Look, we live in an imperfect world surrounded by imperfect people who try really hard to love us, but no one can love us perfectly. Not a single person around you knows how to love you perfectly. And every single one of us, we have hearts that are craving perfect love. I want to be loved perfectly. I want to be told that I am good, that I am valuable, that like it's good for me to be here. Because like when I was your age, especially middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, when I was your age, I did not believe that it was good for me to be anywhere. I did not believe that anybody cared. Like I didn't believe that anybody wanted me. I didn't believe that I was good. I didn't believe that I had value. I didn't believe any of those things. But there is someone who loves us perfectly. And we need that. We need that. Like the reason why we come here, guys, week after week, day after day, the reason why we come here is because there's a heart that's being given to you. Like God the Father, in the fullness of time, he sends his Son in the flesh to come among us. Like his heart is in the flesh among us as a person. And then that same Jesus comes down to this altar, that same Jesus who looked at people and transformed their lives because of the way he loved them, that same Jesus comes to us from this altar. He comes to you, like right here. Like the love that our hearts are looking for, everything that our hearts are looking for. Like the affirmation, the praise, the blessing. Like Jesus wants to tell you every single time that you come to Mass, you are good. It is good that you are here. It is good that you exist. You have gifts and talents. This world is better because you are here. You are good. You are good. You are good. And you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. And we need to hear it again and again and again. I don't know about you, but like, I like hearing that I'm loved. I like hearing it often. When I was little, I would ask my mom over and over again, tell me that you love me. And she would say it again and again. I never got tired of it. Jesus wants to tell us, guys, every single time we come here, I love you. You are good. You are good. That's the need. So let's just take a second in the quiet of our hearts. I want you to close your eyes and I just want us to get in touch with our hearts for a second. Like get in touch with that place where, like, Lord, I struggle. I struggle with insecurity. I struggle with knowing, am I good? Does anybody care? Am I lovable? I want us to get in touch with that place in our hearts because like that's the thing that Jesus wants to answer. That's the thing that Jesus wants to meet right now in this Mass. Like this is why the crowds would crush upon him today, because he gives a love that nobody else gives. Let's just stay here in the quiet right now, eyes closed. Let's let our hearts become awake, that we're not just going through the motions, but let us feel our need for his love, which is bigger than the universe, bigger than anything else. Let's just stay here for a few moments.